Welcome back to Your Strategist is In. I'm Dr. Loren M. Hill. If you've been with me for a while, you already know there's one episode I look forward to all year, and it's my Summer Yay episode. And this whole thing started a few years ago, honestly, kind of on a whim. We work hard all year long, so hard. And I just thought, why not carve out some time for fun in the summer? And kids say, yay. It's a word we reach for when something's fun or when there's a win. And for some years, I've said the whole line out loud: summer yay, go out and play. Because that's really the heart of it. Set the work down on purpose and go play the way kids do. And I mean that however you need it. Actually, stepping outside or just giving yourself permission to stop. Either way, a real break, the way summer break was always supposed to feel. Here's why it's stuck. Somewhere around the middle of the year, right about now, a lot of us are already keeping score. We pull up the goals we set back in January, we look at the calendar, and frankly, we start measuring ourselves against everything that's still unfinished. But that's not what today is. Today is not about your unfinished to-do list. Today is about noticing what actually deserves a genuine yay. Not because everything's perfect. It isn't. Not for any of us. Not because you crossed off every goal, but because life is so much bigger than our productivity matrix, right? So wherever you are, in the car, out on a walk, folding laundry, or hiding in one quiet room in the house, I just want you to slow down with me just for a few minutes. Let's pause. Let's take a breath. And let's notice. And then let's choose how we want to move through the rest of this year. So by July, something interesting happens. And that's sort of a problem that we have with mid-year. I'll tell you why. The shine of the new year, gone. Everybody's vacation schedules are scattered. Work is still work. It did not get the memo to ease up because it's summer. And life just keeps doing what life does, which is completely, cheerfully ignoring our own color-coded calendars and plans, right? And so a lot of us land on one quiet little question: am I behind? But then, behind whom? That's the part we forget to ask. Behind whom exactly? Because comparison has always been a little, dare I say, dangerous. But comparison in the middle of the year, that's discouragement wearing a self-assessment costume. It looks productive, it feels responsible, and honestly, it just leaves you feeling smaller than when you started. So instead of what haven't I done, I want to hand you a completely different question. What deserves a yay? And I don't mean a big announceable win. I mean, maybe you finally said no and you didn't apologize for it. Maybe you walked away from something that was costing you more than it was ever giving you back. Maybe you rested, like actually rested when every instinct in you was screaming to just keep pushing or grinding. Maybe you asked for help. Maybe you just survived something nobody around you even knew you were carrying. Those count. They really count so much. Because here's what I know from sitting with leaders year after year: the biggest breakthroughs are usually the quiet ones. You can't see them from the outside. There's no announcement, no confetti, but something on the inside has completely shifted. And that person is never quite the same again. Every year I ask and answer these questions myself out loud, right here with you, because I'm never going to ask you to do something I'm not willing to do first. So, my first yays this year. One of the biggest has been staying open to conversations that I didn't plan for, because coaching, I've been reminded again this year, isn't always something you schedule. Sometimes it just kind of shows up. This summer, somebody came to me for something completely practical, a door I honestly couldn't open for them. The kind of thing that, could be answered in like 10 minutes. But something said, don't rush this. Instead of solving it, I asked, what else is going on? And that little practical question turned into the better part of an hour. And it was never really about the thing they'd come in asking for. It was about years they spent pouring into something that ended without giving them any type of closure. Nobody scheduled that conversation. Frankly, I couldn't have planned it if I tried. But by the end, this person really needed something that wasn't about a solution. They needed someone who understood the whole landscape they've been lost in and could look at them and say plainly the system had failed them, but not that they had failed. And sometimes that's the whole job, not advice, just being a credible witness to somebody's 10 years of being on the struggle bus. Another yay, and this one, frankly, still surprises me every time. It's what's grown up around this podcast, a whole community of people I mostly never get to meet. Because here's what folks tell me: they tell me they feel seen, that somebody finally recognizes what's been going on and what they've been carrying, and they're not the only one wrestling with it. And that these conversations give them a place to just kind of sit for a minute, to reflect, to figure out what their next step is, and whatever it turns out to be. Maybe it's reaching out for a call, maybe it's pulling up one of the worksheets and actually working through it somewhere quiet on their own terms. And I'm telling you, that never gets old to me, not once. Knowing this is a place where somebody feels a little less alone, it's honestly the whole reason I do this. And then there's my favorite yay, and it has nothing to do with work. Well, it has everything to do with avoiding work. If you ask the mounds of work and reports that I have, my home office window looks right out into the backyard. And frankly, I've lost more paragraphs than I'll admit to whatever's happening right out here. Hummingbirds chasing each other, the morning that I looked up and I realized that, wow, that's not just another bird. It was a hooded Oriole. There's hawks, there's squirrels, there's all kinds of activity going on right outside. And you know what I noticed? And it didn't take me long. There's like a whole rhythm to it. The backyard wakes up in the morning. The garden has its own kind of flow, and the birds, the pollinators, all of it. Then there's a softer shift sort of late in the afternoon, right before dusk. And here's what I'm excited about. I'm putting up cameras because there's a whole third shift that I never get to see, or I should say, rarely. And it's, you know, at night after we've put the whole house to bed, um, that outside night crew clocks in. The raccoons, the opossums, the coyotes, and who knows what else is going on out there. I kind of suspect there's an owl that comes through, but I'll know for sure once these cameras get mounted. So I'm so excited about this. And I'll be honest with you, I've caught myself a little envious of them at times. Like they get the whole garden all day while I'm in here at the screen. But I really just stopped calling it procrastination because every time I look up and I watch them for a minute, I come back to the work right here, steadier than I left it. That minute isn't stealing my attention, it's giving it back. And so my husband Aziz has learned to just read this room. He'll walk past my office door, see me standing at the window, and he doesn't even ask anymore. He just kind of goes to the other side and looks through the window in the other part of the house because he knows something interesting is happening out there. And you know, we kind of bond over that as well. So sometimes the healthiest thing we can all do is just remember life is not asking us to perform every single minute of every single day because it never was. So I want to leave you with three questions, not to answer right now in a rush, just carry them with you for the rest of the summer. First, what are three that deserve a genuine yay this year? Second, what are you still carrying that just doesn't belong in the second half of the year? And third, what do you want the rest of this year to feel like? Notice I didn't ask you what I want you to think about in terms of what it looks like. I ask you, what do you want it to feel like? So start there. And then let your choices, your calendar, your yeses, your nos, let it all support that feeling. I want to thank you for spending part of your day here with me. It means more to me than you will ever know. So here's one small invitation. Sometime this week, 10 quiet minutes, that's all. Write your own summer yay list. 3 things worth celebrating. 1 thing you're ready to set down. And 1 intentional choice you'll make before the summer is out. Because sometimes the most strategic move isn't doing more. Sometimes it's just letting yourself see how far you have already come. I'm Dr. Loren M. Hill, and this has been your Strategist to Zen. Until next time, remember, strategy isn't only about what you accomplished, It's about what you've chosen to protect, what you're willing to release, and then the part of life you think about and move through on purpose, building as you go. Take care of yourself. I mean that sincerely. And I'll see you next time.